All right, Tom, now we're starting to see the sides come together. What do we got going on?
So here, Toru's taking a form and putting some bent sides of Indian rosewood, solid Indian rosewood, into a form. And what he's going to do here is make sure that it all seats towards the edges of the form. He's using these dowels and various, kind of self-made ingenuity clamps here. He's gluing a heel on right now. So everything's involving just a little brushing and handwork all the way around.
And of course, just to reiterate, it's all high glue or protein glue.
This looks to be alpha, like Type Bond.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Many different glues go into making a guitar. So here he's clamping the heel in, and then he'll clamp the end block in after this.
And is this a longer process for the glue to dry, 30 minutes, or is it longer than that?
Probably around 30 for it to set, but
Okay.
I mean, they'll usually set for a little bit longer because at the next station you'll see there's more that's going on. So this has to be strong enough to hold both the end of the guitar together, but also hold the engine, because most Takamines are electric. So, it has a good solid, state to it. And it looks like mahogany on there, which is a traditional material. So now it's all trued up. He's cleaning off the excess glue to make it all pretty on the inside as well as the outside.
And that's just hot water he's using?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's making some marks for later on in the process. Like he has a little template, and this is for where they would be cutting out things like bracing and stuff like that in the next station.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, so what we've got here is some kerfing material, and this is usually would sit on the inside of the guitar to hold either the top or, in the other case, the back, if we're the other way around, the back on. It gives it a surface to glue to. And they call it kerf because of all these cuts that are made into the wood that make it very flexible.
Yeah.
And then you can see them using clamps, individual clamps to, once they glue it on, they're really like metal clothespins, essentially. A lot of manufacturers use clothespins, and they just clamp them on as they go around. And it needs to be relatively neat, but they'll shave it later, so it doesn't need to be perfect in line. But as you can see, it's a lot of clamps.
Yeah.
This guy probably puts on several thousand clamps a day.
All right, the clamps are off, Tom. Now what's going on?
Okay, so he's taking the form and actually putting a radius on the kerf that had just been glued on. And because no top is exactly flat, typically they have, in this case, an 8,000 millimeter radius, and the sanding disc in there actually is a bit of a bowl shape, so that when it goes down and sands it, it puts that radius in there so that when the top gets glued on, it fits, and and that allows for a little bit of change and flex in the top, and it gives a little bit more strength and actually a better tension on the top to make it sound better.
Does it give it any playability, or not playability, but like vibration, or is that?
Oh, yeah, it's all about that.
Okay.
It's all about connectivity with the sides, the back, and making the guitar an organic noise-making machine.
Cool.
So next in the process is after we've sanded those, the kerf to a radius, he's going in and he's going to be applying the top and the back. Right now, he's looking to make sure that the top is okay. Marking it on center, and then he's going to go ahead and check to make sure that everything fits. He's going to go in and cut some of the braces so that they end up fitting, not overlapping and creating some room. And then he'll also make cuts on the kerf to make it to where that any of the extended braces fit into the kerf, which is that bent wood on the sides, and just prepping it for that. So we'll hold now, and then we'll wait until we go in here. So now he's cutting out portions of the kerf to accept where the braces are actually fitting.
And again, this all looks to be stuff that he knows kind of specific to this task.
It's repetition and doing it as long as he has.
Yeah. Because he left a little bit of that notch, and it's all just kind of eyeballing it.
Well, there's marks too. You just can't see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So although there's obviously machines and CNC machines that are going along through the process, there still is a lot of hands being deployed on this process.
And I love that the tools are, you know, these hand tools have probably been with him pretty much throughout his career.
I know that Stu Mack imports Chinese hand tools for guitar repair and guitar work, so it's something that the Japanese culture keeps true to form, is their handwork and tools.
Oh, well, no, Japanese saws, they cut backwards. Japanese chisels are, you know, I own them. I wouldn't have any other. The steel is, you know, Japanese steel is like renowned. I mean, Japanese knives for cooking.
Yeah, good cooks, chefs.
Fantastic, yeah. There goes the back.
Now the back will get a similar process?
Correct, yeah. Just making sure there's enough glue. Things are clean. Make sure you get good wood-to-wood contact. And these tags that are on the guitars, they follow the guitar through the process so everybody knows what it is they're building. And, you know, they get removed in the end, but it also has ID to let it be, you know, known where it's supposed to be in the process.
Now this is one that's obviously been finished and they're swapping it out.
Yeah, so he's putting into a clamp here. You can see it's like, it's got a rubber bottom and a rubber top, and they conform. And that press just sits there and squishes it all together. He's making sure it's lined up. And that'll sit there while he's working on the next one. He removes this guy and gets started all over again. So after the top and the back are joined to the body, it becomes like the box that we know as kind of a guitar body. Next up, they route a channel into the side of the top and, you know, the body to accept binding, which she's doing right here. She's applying a little glue, and then she'll take the same, sort of like the rosettes, she'll take an insane layer of ABS materials and glue them in and tape and clamp, using tape as a clamp as she goes, and does, you know, maybe like a foot at a time, so the glue doesn't have a time to set up beforehand, all the while cleaning excess glue, keeping it in there tight and as good. But I mean, you're like, I'm counting here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of material she's working
Tom,
with.
that's insane because they're all individual.
Yeah,
I can't even tie my shoes
perfectly in line.
sometimes.
Yeah, I know. I hear you on that. But yeah, it's and you know, she does quite a few guitars a day doing this, and you can see the rosette's already in there. It's just making it a more complete item as it goes along.
It's becoming a guitar every step of the process.
Oh yeah. Okay, so what Yoshimi's doing here is she's got a piece of abalone that she's putting in to end of a headstock before she puts the outward binding. You can see that every piece is cut and selected for color and size and shape. It's all done by hand.
I'll say, you were saying off camera, Tom, that it's not predetermined, like she's doing that eyeball.
She's got to eyeball it. There's no mix.
But even the color,
slot, you know.
Even the color is matching.
Yeah, because you don't want a really green piece next to a gray piece. Next to, it all should, you know, naturally segue. And if I don't know if you can get it on the camera, but there's all kinds of color in there. So she has that tool there that has the shape where she can just clamp it right in. And this, you know, Koa headstock. This is a nice guitar when it's done. Here at this station, we're going to put the dovetail in the back of into the guitar heel where it'll accept the neck. So this machine will cut that out. Bam! This is where those witness points come into play that we talked about earlier that are cut in. So now that's positioned it on this machine, which is going to cut the dovetail in the heel. So you see the blades coming in from either side, cutting up and then back down. And they're doing a compound cut. It's cutting inward and also up and down as well. And this blade is coming in from the side to just true up the top portion for the back side of the dovetail.
Now, obviously, a dovetail joint is something used by many acoustic companies. Is there anything that's specific or unusual that is to Takamine's process?
Well, not at this point. At this point, it's fairly much a traditional dovetail. It's a good, strong joint. The heel is actually right now longer than it will end up being, as you'll see in the next step.
Cool.
So here's where they take the dovetail, both elements of the dovetail, and make sure they fit. So he's testing it, test it for pressure fit. Then he'll check the position of the neck to the body and make sure that it's at a good angle, both lengthwise.
Now, during this process, will he match different necks? Like, let's say it might not fit perfect with another body.
Sometimes if it's not right for that, he'll move it to a different body. But for the most part, it's a one-to-one match.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to match the binding and that sort of thing. But in this case, both would be the same neck. So he's marked it. It gets moved on next, and then it will eventually get glued